Hello, today I'm going to show you another strategy, and this one is with the Bloonceneration. The Bloonceneration is pretty much like identical to Marine, but the towers are very different, but the setup is very similar, and that's because these are expensive tier 5 towers, but they do no damage leading up to them. They're basically a support tower until you get the tier 5, so they're kind of difficult to work around with because you're going to have a very strong mid game. We can utilize the little bit of support that they give while we go into that. So I'm obviously going to be using the mortar for decamo because it can do that and will save money by not having to buy a second village. But I'm just going to have to get a whole bunch of damage to survive. So the tower in particular, it's pretty strong in the late game, but because of this mid game issue, you can't really be using it on the harder maps. So just a map that's generally good with mortar, something that has loops and is like intermediate or lower, this strategy would work well with. You could use it on Spillway. Spillway is very good for mortars, but I wouldn't really use it on any of the other advanced maps. So there are a whole bunch of things that you could do for the mid game, and there's even more on the even easier maps. But I'm just going to do something that works well with Biker Bones because that's the hero that we're using. Obviously, he buffs the mortars and bombs. So I'll just be grabbing the 204 bomb shooter, and then for some mob damage you could do maulers, but this map doesn't really allow that. So I'm just going to instead do some aces because they can shoot over pretty well. Alternatively, you could use like artillery battery or something. But after this, we'll actually be able to save up straight into Bloonson. Get that, we'll outbuff it, and because I said it is a pretty strong tower in the late game, we aren't going to need that much support. It's just that the tricky part is being able to save up to it. So by far the mid game is the hardest, same with like Marine. But I'll just get some basic support, and then you can spend your money, but I'm just going to instead save the money to kind of prove a point and do a little bit of micro with it for the other rounds. And that is all you will need to beat Chimps with this strategy. So goodbye.